I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the infinite Creator. We communicate now. Question 40.1. Questioner, I thought that I would make a statement and let you correct it. I'm trying to make a simple model of the portion of the universe that we find ourselves in. Starting with the sublogos, our sun, we have white light emanating from this, which is made up of the frequencies ranging from the red to the violet. I am assuming that this white light then contains the experiences through all of the densities, and as we go into the 8th density we go into a black hole which becomes, on the other side, another logos or sun and starts another octave of experience. Can you comment on this part of my statement? Answer, I am Ra. We can comment upon this statement to an extent. The concept of the white light of the sublogos being prismatically separated and later, at the final chapter, being absorbed again is basically correct. However, there are subtleties involved which are more than semantic. The white light which emanates and forms the articulated sublogos has its beginning in what may be metaphysically seen as darkness. The light comes into that darkness and transfigures it, causing the chaos to organize and become reflective or radiant. Thus the dimensions come into being. Conversely, the blackness of the black hole, metaphysically speaking, is a concentration of white light being systematically absorbed once again into the one Creator. Finally, this absorption into the one Creator continues until all the infinity of creations have attained sufficient spiritual mass in order that all form once again the great central sun, if you would so imagine it, of the intelligent infinity awaiting potentiation by free will. Thus the transition of the octave is a process which may be seen to enter into timelessness of unimaginable nature. To attempt to measure it by your time measures will be useless. Therefore, the concept of moving through the black hole of the ultimate spiritual gravity well and coming immediately into the next octave misses the sub-concept or corollary of the portion of this process which is timeless. Question 40.2. Questioner, our astronomers have noticed that light from spiral galaxies is approximately 70 times less than it should be, considering the calculated mass of the galaxy. I was wondering if that was due to the increase of spiritual mass in the galaxy and what we call white dwarf stars. Answer, I am Ra. This is basically correct and is a portion of the way or process of creation cycle. Question 40.3. Questioner, thank you. I was also wondering if the first density corresponded somehow to the color red, the second to the color orange, the third to the color yellow, and so on through the densities corresponding to the colors in perhaps a way so that the basic vibration which forms the photon that forms the core of all atomic particles would have a relationship to the color in the density, and that vibration would step up for second, third and fourth density corresponding to the increase in the vibration of the colors. Is any of this correct? Answer, I am Ra. This is more correct than you have stated. Firstly, you are correct in positing a quantum, if you will, as the nature of each density, and further correct in assuming that these quanta may be seen to be of vibratory natures corresponding to color as you grasp this word. However, it is also true, as you have suspected but not asked, that each density is of the metaphysical characteristic complex of its ray. Thus in first density the red ray is the foundation for all that is to come. In second density the orange ray is that of movement and growth of the individual, this ray striving towards the yellow ray of self-conscious manifestations of a social nature as well as individual, third density being the equivalent, and so forth, each density being primarily its ray plus the attractions of the following ray pulling it forward in evolution and to some extent coloring or shading the chief color of that density. Question 40.4. Questioner, then bodily energy centers for an individual, assuming that the individual evolves in a straight line from first through to 8th density, would it then be activated to completion if everything worked as it should? Would each chakra be activated to completion and greatest intensity by the end of the experience in each density? Answer, I am Ra. Hypothetically speaking, this is correct. However, the fully activated being is rare. Much emphasis is laid upon the harmonies and balances of individuals. It is necessary for graduation across densities for the primary energy centers to be functioning in such a way as to communicate with intelligent infinity and to appreciate and bask in this light in all of its purity. However, to fully activate each energy center is the mastery of few, for each center has a variable speed of rotation or activity. The important observation to be made once all necessary centers are activated to the minimal necessary degree is the harmony and balance between these energy centers. Question 40.5. Questioner: thank you. Taking as an example the transition between second and third density, when this transition takes place, does the frequency of vibration which forms the photon, the core of all the particles of the density, increase from a frequency corresponding to second density or the color orange to the frequency that we measure as the color yellow? What I am getting at is, do all the vibrations that form the density, the basic vibrations of the photon, increase in a quantum fashion over a relatively short period of time? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. Then you see within each density the gradual upgrading of vibratory levels. Question 40.6. Questioner: this is a guess. Would the frequency going from second to third increase from the middle orange or average orange frequency to the middle or average yellow frequency? Answer: I am Ra. This query is indeterminate. We shall attempt to be of aid. However, the frequency that is the basis of each density is what may be called a true color. This term is impossible to define given your system of sensibilities and scientific measurements, for color has vibratory characteristics both in space-time and in time-space. The true color is then overlaid and tinged by the rainbow of the various vibratory levels within that density and the attraction vibrations of the next true color density. Question 40.7. Questioner: how long was the time of transition from second to third density? A generation and a half, I believe you said. Is that correct? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct, the time measured in your years being approximately 1,350. Question 40.8. Questioner: then what will be the time of transition on this planet from third to fourth density? Answer: I am Ra. This is difficult to estimate due to the uncharacteristic anomalies of this transition. They are at this space-time nexus beings incarnate which have begun fourth density work. However, the third density climate of planetary consciousness is retarding the process. At this particular nexus the probability vortices indicate somewhere between 100 and 700 of your years as transition period. This cannot be accurate due to the volatility of your peoples at this space-time. Question 40.9. Questioner: has the vibration of the photon increased in frequency already? Answer: I am Ra. This is correct. It is this influence which has begun to cause thoughts to become things. As an example, you may observe the thoughts of anger becoming those cells of the physical bodily complex going out of control to become what you call the cancer. Question 40.10. Questioner: I am assuming that this vibratory increase began about 20 to 30 years ago. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. The first harbingers of this were approximately 45 of your years ago, the energies vibrating more intensely through the 40-year period preceding the final movement of vibratory matter, shall we say, through the quantum leap, as you would call it. Question 40.11. Questioner: starting then 45 years ago, and taking the entire increase of vibration that we will experience in this density change, approximately what percentage through this increase in vibrational change are we right now? Answer: I am Ra. The vibratory nature of your environment is true color, green. This is at this time heavily overwoven with the orange ray of planetary consciousness. However, the nature of quanta is such that the movement over the boundary is that of discrete placement of vibratory level. Question 40.12. Questioner: You mentioned that the thoughts of anger now are causing cancer. Can you expand on this mechanism as it acts as a catalyst or its complete purpose? Answer: I am Ra. The fourth density is one of revealed information. Selves are not hidden to self or other selves. The imbalances or distortions which are of a destructive nature show, therefore, in more obvious ways, the vehicle of the mind-body-spirit complex, thus acting as a teaching resource for self-revelation. These illnesses such as cancer are correspondingly very amenable to self-healing once the mechanism of the destructive influence has been grasped by the individual. Question 40.13. Questioner: then you are saying that cancer is quite easily healed mentally and is a good teaching tool because it is easily healed mentally, and once the entity forgives the other self at whom he is angry, the cancer will disappear. Is this correct? Answer: I am Ra. This is partially correct. The other portion of healing has to do with forgiveness of self and a greatly heightened respect for the self. This may conveniently be expressed by taking care in dietary matters. This is quite frequently a part of the healing and forgiving process. Your basic premise is correct. Question 40.14. Questioner: in dietary matters, what would be the foods that one would include and what would be the foods that one would exclude in a general way for the greatest care of one's bodily complex? Answer: I am Ra. Firstly, we underline and emphasize that this information is not to be understood literally but as a link or psychological nudge for the body and the mind and spirit. Thus it is the care and respect for the self that is the true thing of importance. In this light we may iterate the basic information given for this instrument's diet. The vegetables, the fruits, the grains, and to the extent necessary for the individual metabolism, the animal products. These are those substances showing respect for the self. In addition, though this has not been mentioned, for this instrument is not in need of purification, those entities in need of purging the self of a poison thought form or emotion complex do well to take care in following a program of careful fasting until the destructive thought form has been purged, analogously with the byproducts of ridding the physical vehicle of excess material. Again you see the value not to the body complex but used as a link for the mind and spirit. Thus self reveals self to self. Question 40.15. Questioner: thank you. A very important concept. Does the fact that the basic vibration that we experience now is green true color or fourth density account for the fact that there are many mental effects upon material objects that are now observable for the first time in a mass way, such as the bending of metal by mind? Answer: I am Ra. This shall be the final query and total of this working. This is not only correct, but we suggest you take this concept further and understand the great number of entities with the so-called mental diseases being due to the effect of this green ray true color upon the mental configurations of those unready mentally to face the self for the first time. Are there any brief queries before we close? Question 40.16. Questioner: just two. With respect to what you just said, would then people incarnating here by seniority of vibration who incarnate in the service to self path be ones who would have extreme difficulty mentally with this green ray vibration? Answer: I am Ra. This is incorrect. It is rather the numbers who have distracted themselves and failed to prepare for this transition, yet who are somewhat susceptible to its influence, who may be affected. Question 40.17. Questioner: thank you. Is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or to improve the contact? Ra: this instrument is well. You are conscientious. The appurtenances cause this instrument greater comfort in the distortion of the warmth of the body complex. I am Ra. I leave you, my friends, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth then rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.